Hello and welcome back to One Stop Flop Podcast, your one-stop shop for non-stop top. This is your wonderful host, and we have a terrific episode here today. I think it's going to be really action-packed. And, of course, let me introduce myself today for this special episode we have in store. I am Wonderboy Markus.
Wonderboy Markus.
And that voice you're hearing is my trusty
cohort,
reverse sidekick. What are they called? The main hero,
the main
if you
hero.
would. He is the main character, and I am the sidekick.
The main hero, yes. I am man.
Yes, man.
I have the powers. I have the powers of a normal man plus a little bit of an extra.
All right, well, Mr. Man. All right, well, Mr. Man, will you please explain to everybody out there listening if you know what's happening today?
I think we're gonna have a very marvelous
show today. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Today, if you haven't been watching or listening, if you haven't been listening, today's episode is going to be none other.
The long-awaited.
3-show
build-up.
Yes, we are doing the Marvel discussion today. So
it's finally here.
For all you listeners who have been waiting for this one, all 0 of you.
All those who've been blue-balled. We've been edging you just like, I want this so bad.
We will be whipping our cocks out in this one.
Mine's already out.
Thank God. I've been waiting since episode 1 for this moment. We're not doing Marvel. We will be talking about our penises for the next hour.
Yeah, we just gave you a reversal there. This ain't the Marvel show. It's the penis episode.
So, okay, you had a terrific way to start this off.
Yes.
You? Well, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what we're going to be talking about first.
Marvel? Comics? Movies? Shows? Basically any media that...
Okay, meatspin.com.
Anything that is within the Marvel realm.
Within the realm of Marvel.
We're not touching that DC stuff, not today.
Yeah. Deacon Comics, you can...
Deacon Comics.
Get out of here.
Do you know what DC stands for?
Yeah, I know what DC stands for.
Okay.
That was a joke. No, Deacon Comics was like from like a weird... it was from a television show. I think it was a cartoon show.
Oh yeah, like a way to bypass the copyright. Yeah. Okay. But anyway,
I was like, what the hell is Deacon Comics? Yeah, but yeah, what?
No digressing here. This is all
no
Marvel.
Duck Comics today. No Daily Duck Digest. Triple D. No Triple D today.
So I wanted to start off with just Marvel in general. What's your take on Marvel comics and the characters, the history?
Marvel was, I think I want to say I was not a fan of Marvel from the very beginning, and I feel like the thing that really pushed me over the edge was the MCU. And in terms of comic book characters, the first comic book character I ever fell in love with was Spider-Man. He is Marvel, but I didn't have that attachment. I didn't feel like, oh, I love the Marvel universe. I was just like, I'm a kid, I love Spider-Man.
Yeah. So you weren't like an X-Men show fan, or?
I was never big on X-Men. Like, even when the first original X-Men live action movie came out, I was like, eh.
I thought that was a pretty sick movie.
Like, I can't jerk off to this. This isn't something.
They had Toad.
Yeah.
He was pretty jerk-offable.
Huh? A what?
Toad.
A Toad?
Yeah, you don't know Toad?
From Mario?
No, there's a guy named Toad in X-Men.
X-Men, okay, yeah. See, that just shows how much of a not X-Men fan I am. I don't give
like
a
a
shit
long tongue
about Toad.
Yeah.
Well, me and Toad have something in common. Thank God.
You got that elastic tongue.
Yeah, the elastic tongue.
You can spit bile.
Yeah, I do that every single day when I spit bars.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, I think Marvel for me as a child, wasn't even an idea in my head. I was like, oh, okay, I love Spider-Man, therefore I love this superhero.
Did you like the DC superheroes compared to what you saw in Marvel back when you were a kid?
You see, even from the very beginning, I've always had this thought process, like, I hate Superman
Yeah.
for everything that he is and what he stands for, because it's like he's essentially like the Kim Kardashian of superheroes. It's like this unrealistic standard of what should be expected of somebody.
So is that what you saw in the Marvel characters, where it's more grounded and more flawed?
Yeah, I think that's what really turned me on to Spider-Man as a whole. Is like I looked at this dude, I was like, God, this guy he's ugly, he's thin, he's not heroic. He's a pussy.
He's a pussy.
In all meaning of the
So
word.
you're saying Spider-Man is a pussy?
Yeah, and that's what drew me to. I was like, that's me. I'm a fucking pussy. And
Amazing.
That's what made me feel like, me and Spider-Man, if I saw that dude tomorrow, I could approach him and be like, yeah, you're a pussy, I'm a pussy, dude. We're in this together. He chased Mary Jane for how long? He was simping for that.
So
one.
he was a simp.
He was a goddamn simp, and that's what me and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, share in common.
I would say that I was more of an X-Men Spider-Man kid, because I know I wasn't like the Avengers. Back then, before it was mainstream, I wasn't really interested, especially in the 90s when those were the two big, comics that were running.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Spider-Man. I like the X-Men show. Did you watch the Spider-Man animated show?
I did not. Are you talking about the cartoon took place in, like, I think it was the 80s?
No, the 90s.
Okay. That was the original, the meme, right?
No, not that meme. There was
okay.
It was a new one with I think he went on adventures with Daredevil, and, like,
okay.
Kingpin and.
All right, okay. No, I don't think I watched that one like at all. Did it come out in like the 10s, early 2000s?
No, that was the 90s. Same with X-Men, I think.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you see, I never once watched the cartoons either, because it was always this interesting thing of like I loved superheroes, but I never cared enough to watch these animated shows. I even like now they're just so fucking campy.
See,
like,
I know
they're
you.
just so weird.
I don't know if you're gonna know this, but there was a whole animated universe with those characters.
Yeah, I
had-
do remember somebody saying that.
There was X-Men, you had Spider-Man, they made crossovers, and then you had the Fantastic Four show. And there was a Daredevil show, I think. Or they might have canceled it.
Well, look how well that turned out. Even with all that, nobody ever cared about any of those people. So that shows to the success of that universe.
Hey, I mean, the crossovers before crossovers, I mean, laid the
at
foundation.
least in the early comic book days, it was like, oh, okay, we can do this and people will be interested. People will buy the comics and people will want to read this stuff. Whereas, like, the age of cartoons was easily the worst for superheroes because they made that happen and nobody cared. Nobody talked about it. Nobody.
I think comics might have been on the decline in the 90s. Marvel went bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, why else would they try to do that stuff with the cartoons?
Yeah.
And even so, it's like nobody cared about them then. And then, here comes Iron Man, 2008 comes along, and boom, everybody's so invested in it.
What about the movies that laid the foundation before that, though? You had the Fantastic Four movies, the Hulk, Ghost Rider, in all its glory.
You see, I always saw those things as like this one-off of like they want to do this because they think it'll make money, not because they think it'll build into something that's useful or cool or important, or because they're trying to save this blah blah. No, they just simply did it because it's like, you know what, Ghost Rider seems cool, let's make a quick buck.
I would say that the original Spider-Man trilogy, I mean, at least the first two movies did well in terms of actually showing what a comic book movie could be. The quality was fairly well in those.
The first two.
But the third one, that
we
fell
don't
off.
talk about the dark horse of the...
And I would say even the first two X-Men movies before it kind of went off the rails.
Real quick, I want to say something that might be a little controversial.
Oh, no.
But, I'm saying this, and I'm not taking it back. Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man 3, is better than the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Whoa, okay.
Okay, listen.
Hold on.
I hate Andrew Garfield. I hated his version. He was a shitty Peter Parker.
I'll tell you this. I have to defend at least the first one, the first Amazing Spider-Man. Because even though he was a shitty Peter Parker, he was a good Spider-Man. For what it's worth. And I would say that Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker, but not as good as
Spider-Man.
yeah,
I
not
agree.
horrible, but he was not as good of a Spider-Man as
I agree, but
Andrew Garfield.
if I'm looking at like Spider-Man 3 without all of the negativity, and I'm putting it on like
That's
I'm
a lot of
imagining myself. I'm imagining myself the very first time I watched Spider-Man 3. Nobody else's opinions, my own opinions. I thought the movie was bad. But did I think the movie was worse than Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2? No.
But I mean, you have to take the two movies for what they're worth. Okay, so the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was bad. Terribly bad. All over the place.
Oh,
but the
of
first
course.
one, as a story, it worked for what it was trying to do.
I feel like because people were coming off of Spider-Man 3, they looked at Amazing Spider-Man 1 with so much anticipation and hope for what it would and could be.
Yeah.
They almost looked at it through rose-colored glasses. Even till this day, like they
I
see it
think-
and they go, well, it was better than Spider-Man 3. Well, if you watch them back to back, like watch Spider-Man 3 and then watch The Amazing Spider-Man 1, I genuinely think you would think differently.
I think you're forgetting about emo Peter and his whole
No, I
dancing
mean,
sequence.
there were some bad scenes. Let's be real. But I just personally think that even though the story was a huge clusterfuck, The Amazing Spider-Man 1, because it had to live up to literal garbage,
Yeah.
it did a lot less than what everyone was hoping for. So
Yeah.
people saw it as like, okay, well, it's probably not as bad as Spider-Man 3. But instead of looking at it as its own entity of like, okay, we're starting from the ground up, let's see what it can do. And it didn't do much.
Fair enough.
at
Fair
all.
enough. So going back to comics, what would you say is your favorite characters, as of like just everything you've read up to so far, what you know?
I would have to say, it's funny because I say Spider-Man is my favorite, but I think when it, like, all in all, Spider-Man is my favorite, but
Yeah.
I think my own personal favorite has to be the Human Torch. Oddly
The
enough,
Human Torch.
the Human Torch. There's something about the way his character is. It's like he is a brash, young, egoistic, just this dude that acts like nothing can harm him,
Yeah.
and that is his biggest fault, and that's what makes him amazing, is that he has basically the power of a nuclear sun, but chooses not to use it for good or evil. He just sort of is like, I'm gonna do my own thing, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna do what I want with these powers because nobody can tell me otherwise.
See, so do you like the more fantastical side of comic book characters, like the cosmic characters, or like do you like more of the grounded type?
I've always, like, cosmic powers do interest me. They are, because it unlocks this part of me that it's like, oh, okay, what if this is in my world today? It shows me deeper thinking in comic form in
Yeah.
parts that you couldn't see in real life.
Yeah.
Whereas grounded form is more my style, simply because you're seeing these people as people first, not unrealistically overly powered people like Superman.
Yeah.
And I honestly want to say Batman unrealistically overpowered. I'm sorry. Everybody that thinks Batman is not overpowered is lying to themselves. Lying.
That's strong disagree with that.
Lying.
Strong
When
disagree.
has Batman ever been so far up against the ropes that he hasn't won?
Against Bane. Broke his damn back.
He broke his back.
The
Is that
fucking
where his
Batman-
brain is? His back?
No, but I mean, what are you gonna do? You're a normal man. Okay, but anyway,
You're a normal. Okay, you're
Any-
calling Bruce.
that's for another time.
Bruce Wayne a
Bruce
normal.
Banner. Bruce Banner is a normal man in a sense. But
Okay,
there's
but
also
honestly,
another
I
man.
want to say right now, you're calling Bruce Wayne a normal man.
I mean,
That dude thinks faster than Superman. That's not a normal
but that's
man.
kind of his ability, right? Is his detective skill.
But that's the point. It's like he's not a normal
we
man.
must save this for
The
another time.
Human Torch is a normal man because
With-
he's
yeah.
just a normal cocky dude
Yeah.
with powers he doesn't care about understanding.
But
And
see,
that's what makes him great.
here's what I like in characters in the Marvel universe, especially is I like the grounded city level type. Like you have Daredevil, Punisher, Iron Fist, Moon Knight even.
Yeah, you think
Char-
he's ever said Iron Fist me, daddy? But go on.
Iron
Yeah.
Fist. Maybe in that Rule 34 out there.
Okay, yes. I am also an avid 4chan user.
Who is this 4chan?
Who is she?
No, but I like the characters that have flaws.
Okay.
And they're not these cosmic beings that can,
Yeah.
destroy planets.
Like Squirrel Girl. for
Squirrel-
example.
Squirrel Girl is OP.
Yeah, of course. No, yeah, of course.
But I mean, I like characters that have like these human stories that you can,
yeah.
you can relate to on a
Yeah.
basic level. Like, if it's not too I mean, I like the mystical side. Like, I like Doctor Strange too,
Okay.
or like the Midnight Suns and all the other like mystical type beings. But for me, I think I like the street level. Like, I like Spider-Man too.
Yeah.
I like all these, just the ones you can relate to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the more powerful you get, the more you can't relate to that character.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
It's like you don't like that whole, like, you'd like it, but it's like, what's the point? It's like Thanos snaps his fingers and all, half of all panties in the world disappear.
You're dropping panties
Yeah.
left and right.
It's like you would like that, but it's like there's just something that hit different, But yeah, I mean,
What do you think of those street level types though, like Daredevil, Iron Fist?
Speaking specifically to the Defenders, I thought they were kind of boring.
Really?
I feel like there is a fine line for superheroes that need to walk where it's like, for me, they can't be too boring, but they can't be too overpowered.
Yeah.
It's like they have to be a superhero in the very literal sense. They have to literally have superpowers,
Yeah.
but they can't be so not super powerful like Punisher, where it's like, oh, dude, you can shoot a gun. Congrats, everybody. I mean, yeah, you can shoot it at a superhuman level.
For
Congrats.
him more so, it's how much damage he can take, because dude just can get wrecked in like a fucking gunfight, and he's still walking like a.
All right, congratulations.
I guess he has a high
shoot
pain
him
tolerance.
One time in the correct
But
spot.
there's
He's dead.
something interesting about a guy who just puts on a suit and just goes to kick ass just because he
Yeah.
wants to do good. It's like, it doesn't matter if you have these fantastic abilities.
Yeah, like my cousin. She likes to put on a suit and just sort of kick ass.
Start whipping
Yeah,
people.
Start beating people with shoes for no reason.
But
She calls herself La Chancla. I
La
believe.
Chancla.
Yeah, it's dude's wild. But yeah,
So okay, so speaking of characters, what would you say like your least favorite would be?
least favorite. Wow, that's a real loaded question there. So
Really?
it's hard because I don't like shitting on certain characters when it comes to comic books, because it's
Yeah.
like, they have their own purpose, they have their own thing.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if I had to choose somebody, probably Molecule Man.
Molecule Man.
Yeah.
Isn't he really OP? Like, can't he? What are his powers? What can he do?
Well, if you're listening to this and for some reason you don't know what Marvel is, and you tuned into this Marvel episode,
Yes,
Molecule
the
Man is he's every single atom and molecule that is and ever will be.
Like, he has a wand he can control.
Oh yeah, like
Those-
little pixie wand that he waves around.
He could
He
turn you
says-
into water,
He
basically.
said "doot doodaloot doo," and
Nardwar.
he turns himself into a bucket. No, he can literally control anything and everything on any
Plane
level.
of existence.
Any plane of existence.
That's not really interesting. Something the Fantastic Four can do.
Yeah, it's like, you want someone like that. They gave us the one above all. He is Stan Lee. He is God.
So like Franklin Richards.
Yeah, frankly, it's Franklin Richards. I actually like, because it's like they do show that he does have a weakness,
Yeah.
and that he can't control or create things that he doesn't understand, or
Yeah.
like are out of his realm of like thinking.
Yeah.
Whereas the one above all can do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, at least there's a grounding there. Whereas like Molecule Man, it's like, well, what's the point of this character? You already have the one above all. You already have, Reed Richards, Franklin Richards. You already have these guys. There's no point to the Molecule Man.
Yeah.
He's just there for fan service, it feels like.
Yeah. I feel that.
And it's just... He's one of a lot of characters where I feel it's like, what's the point of making this man? You don't use him. There's no point to him. He's just there taking up space for no reason at all.
Yeah. I have to agree. Anything that's overpowered like that, I tend to dislike too.
For sure. I think if there were ever a new strain of comics or superheroes or company that developed new superheroes, it would definitely be something different to create these superheroes and make them so it's like there's like 6 people and that's it.
Yeah.
No one else is ever created. That's it in the whole world. They're the only 6 that can do anything magical, and there never will be.
I agree. I think for me, I'd have to pick Namor.
For most hated.
For dislike. Because I never understood. It's like it's like Aquaman if he were uncool, but people think he's cool because he's like a bad boy.
Yeah.
Dude has little wings on his feet, and he wears little tighties. Like.
Yeah. You think kids like threw rocks at him in school or what?
It's like go back in the ocean, you fucking you freak. No,
Yeah.
but I mean it's okay. So you have that, and She-Hulk is another one that I just don't understand. It's like okay, girl Hulk.
Yeah. Girl Hulk. I mean, yeah. I mean, you gotta have the girl Hulk.
You got.
You got stews.
It's so funny. You have a girl Hulk and you have a Chinese Hulk.
Is there a Chinese Hulk?
Or
I
is
never
he
knew
Korean?
this.
I think he's Korean.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Amadeus Cho became the Hulk.
Oh, that is true. I completely forgot about it. That's correct. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I guess yeah, overpowered characters and uninteresting characters.
Well, I think this is a good time to transition into the MCU because I actually have something to transition from.
Yeah.
The Hulk in the MCU.
Yeah.
How do you compare him to the Hulk in the comics? So far, what we've seen of Bruce Banner in the MCU, what do you think of him compared to comic book Hulk?
I think they did him justice. I think they had like a little misstep with the Edward Norton Hulk in his own movie,
Yeah.
but as they went along, they kind of built his story up to be kind of interesting.
You think he's sort of like, as of right now, the way it stands, it's at a good point?
I mean, I feel like there's still more to do with him.
Yeah. It seems like they're gonna like wrap him up though. Like it seems like they're definitely
because there's a
coming to
She-Hulk
that end.
show coming up.
Yeah, on
So,
Disney Plus.
yeah.
You think that's gonna be any good?
I'm not, like I said, I'm not a She-Hulk person, so
So you wouldn't Hulk smash She-Hulk?
no.
Okay.
I mean, she probably Hulk smash me, but I wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah.
It'd be
What are we talking? Like the Hulk smashing Black Widow gif, or what's going on here?
That's a legendary gif.
So
the
if you're
young ones
listening
to
to this
see.
at night, please Google that gif.
Google Hulk smash dot gif.
Google Hulk smash.gif and enjoy.
Sure.
But yeah.
So okay, MCU. So that's a lot of movies, a lot of media
Yeah.
concerning this timeline of.
It's
of a
crazy.
story.
Didn't they recently hit like they hit a milestone, something like highest grossing franchise? I don't know what it was.
it's way past the highest grossing franchise. I think
I don't know what milestone.
The
it
next
was.
one would be Harry Potter, I think, or James Bond.
Okay.
But they blew that out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone can touch him in a while.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's trying to create their own universe, like the Dark Universe,
The Dark Universe.
with Tom Cruise and the Mummy.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they tried to kickstart their own universe.
The Mummy.
Yeah, the Tom Cruise's Mummy was going to be the jumpstart to a cinematic universe with monsters.
Oh God, that sounds just boring as all hell.
Yep, that's why they canceled that idea.
When was this? This year? Last year?
No, when the Mummy was starting,
When
like
it
when it was
still,
out. Yeah,
okay.
and then they're like, okay, yeah, Johnny Depp is Invisible Man. swamp, or like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
Wolfman.
yeah. Why don't you just call it by its name, my mother? Okay, but anyway.
I almost spit out my water right there. Oh,
Anyway, but yeah, I
not
mean,
prepared.
I think. Do you see it as sort of this cinematic juggernaut? Cinematic.
Pun intended.
Unintended cinematic monopoly.
I wouldn't say so. I would say they did the cinematic universe right, where it's like you have all these interconnected stories and it keeps it fresh.
Okay.
And it keeps people wanting more, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like people want to, they're not, it's like they're, oh, superhero fatigue, I don't care anymore. Each movie, they keep, I think Endgame was the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, it sort of feels like each movie is like a refresher. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, now I'm going to get tired of it. And then you watch it, it's like, okay, well, I could watch like 8 more.
I could watch another one.
I could watch about 17 more of this, and then I'm done, I swear.
It's like when you're jerking off. It's like, I don't need that. Oh,
One more video.
One more video. One more.
17 videos deep, and you're somehow watching hentai. You know?
Hear that tentacle stuff.
It's like, wait a minute, I'm not even into hentai. Why am I here?
Why am I here?
You're not even hard. You're just sort of watching for the story.
I wouldn't say it's a monopoly though. I'd just say like with Disney, since they're a part of Disney, it kind of is. But they're just making all the right decisions.
But it's kind of weird for it to be a part of Disney and it to be this much bigger than any other movie franchise.
You have to thank Kevin Feige for that one.
Oh, of course, but at the same time, it's like you have to fear for the fact that it's like eventually they might become a monopoly.
Yeah.
In terms of cinema, because it's like this year in 2020, there has been no Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And you really feel like this has been an uneventful year, not just for us, but for a lot of people who went to movies. It's like Marvel was so much in everybody's lives that when the cinematic lull came this year,
yeah,
the highest grossing movie for this year specifically, it was
Bad Boys.
Bad
Boys for Life.
Will Smith. I love Will Smith, my favorite actor, but that's just sad. That's not the move. That's not the move, Chief.
That's not the move.
That's not the move.
That's not the movie, Chief.
And I feel like that right there speaks volumes to what Marvel has right now. Not even like in 3-4 years from now when they might have a monopoly. Right now, such a weirdly iron grip on cinema itself.
I think it's because they focus so much on storytelling that they're basically ingrained in the social zeitgeist of society. It's like it's like a Marvel movie is an event to go to.
Yeah, like
so
it's
it kind of
almost
changed,
like a Comic-Con, but like you have it like 5 times a year.
Yeah, it changed the whole idea of what the cinema is, you know?
Yeah.
They changed the idea of a blockbuster.
Yeah, it's an experience now more than ever.
Because they're not even movies, really. It's like a long story.
Yeah, like you gotta watch the next ep.
Yeah.
It's like, what's gonna happen, you know? Is Peter Parker and Lois Lane gonna get together
Peter
and
Parker
have sex with the Roger Rabbit? We don't know. Anything can happen here in the Marvel Universe.
I think it'd be Howard the Duck.
You ever think he was called names as a child? Howard the Dick! Look at him! Look at his fucking dick!
You fucking duck.
Look at that Howard Dick!
I think he was a playboy. I think he sleeps with women on the daily.
You think he whips out his Howard the Duck for everybody?
Yeah.
He says,
he's got that long bill.
Quack! Hey, baby!
I never understood
That's how he
Howard
introduces himself every time. Quack! Hey, baby! I'm Howard.
Still waiting for that Howard the Duck spinoff.
Yeah, of course. No, everybody is.
No, but I think it is important that the MCU, what they've done for cinema, but I think it just shows how powerful of a man Kevin Feige is to actually accomplish such a feat. Because you see all these, like the DC extended universe.
You think it's like, it's a smile? What is it? Something magical about him.
His cute little rosy cheeks. He's got to pinch him.
The way he carries himself, you see him at the grocery store, you know it's like, that's him.
It's like cute little
Hey,
smile.
Kevin!
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin! I know you! I watch your movies!
Hey, I sees your movies. Keep
I think
it up.
anybody sees Kevin Feige in a store and gets genuinely, like, excited. They're like, oh my god, it's Kevin Feige!
Not unless you're real sweaty, where it's like, oh fuck, it's
Yeah,
Kevin
like,
Feige.
oh my god. I can't look at him. It's Kevin.
Everyone else is just like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he wearing
Yeah,
a
they
black
pass
Widow
him in the
hat?
grocery store. It's like, excuse me, white asshole.
No, but yeah, I can't see them stopping anytime soon. But if Kevin Feige does leave, I could see the quality diminishing.
Even with
Quite a
the
bit.
Russo brothers maybe
I
taking
think
over
they're-
that role.
No, they're not Kevin
They're
Feige.
not fit.
They're not Feige. Like
They're
they're
not
good
Feige.
directors, but I mean,
They look like Feige's to me.
no, I don't think so. I think you just need someone like Kevin Feige to actually care about the properties enough
Okay.
to actually run with it.
To put some grease on that bitch.
Put that grease on the gear
Put
and
the
just
grease
keep
on
it
the
going.
grill and grill it up.
Gotta get on the grease.
Yeah. Get his hands dirty. Say, listen, I'm gonna cast this widely unknown man for Spider-Man that looks like a 16-year-old, and it's just gonna work.
Okay, so do you like the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man?
I think I have genuinely the most outrageous takes here out of anyone that I know about Spider-Man specifically. Tom Holland, hands down, is the best version of both Spider-Man and Peter Parker put together.
See, I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people generally come to that
I
consensus.
feel like when it comes to in-depth fans specifically, they'll say Peter Parker the original was terrific.
I
Tobey
think that's
Maguire's
because of
Peter
like it's a
Parker.
nostalgic thing. You always
Yeah.
hear that from like the people who grew up with it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire's is
Yeah. No, Tobey Maguire was the best Peter
You gotta take
Parker.
off. You gotta take off those nostalgic glasses and
Yeah, I understand where they're coming from because it's like Tobey Maguire. You got to see that from the very beginning, the bite and everything. He built his story
yeah.
because it was done so many times. Tom Holland never got that, and it was the right move. But at the same time, you have to look back on it and go, well, we didn't get him from the ground up.
I'm so glad they didn't do that because we already saw that twice.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone
Yeah.
knows the whole thing. Uncle Ben, the spider.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, you done? Is that Uncle? Oh, cool.
So
Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
I'm glad they just used the first movie to take a step and just be like, okay, this is it. He's Spider-Man. He's running with it.
Yeah, he's running away with it. But that's what I mean, though. It's like,
Yeah.
everybody's going to say that. But therein lies the problem with this Spider-Man is because it's like, people won't put him on that same pedestal that I put him on simply because average moviegoers will look at it and go, well, you know, we didn't see him from the beginning. We don't know his whole backstory. And
Yeah.
that's like, you know, there is a very small select handful of people that will say that, and they will argue that Tobey Maguire is better.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield was better. I don't know who's saying that because you're high on codeine. But yeah, I think Tom Holland does everything so right that it's hard to see Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield ever fitting the mold that Tom Holland is fitting right now.
I agree with that actually. I think he portrays Peter Parker and Spider-Man like as the best out of any of the incarnations.
He's essentially he is the Miley Cyrus of Spider-Man. He's the best of both.
But I'm not gonna lie. When you first heard the announcement, like Tom Holland is Spider-Man, it's like, what? These people call are they crazy? Like,
No, my first thought was, who?
who?
Who? I had to Google a picture of this dude because I was like, who is this? Where is this guy from? I've never seen him ever in my life.
Yeah.
The very first scene of him in the suit, I had a huge smile.
No, Civil War. Right?
And then, yeah, Civil War. He shot the shield, pulled it in, said the almighty words, baby, I'm back.
Baby, I'm back.
He made his entrance, and I smiled from ear to ear, and I came right there. I came because I knew I was like, you know, this is the thing I've been waiting for my whole life, is to see this man back where he needs to be. Not where he should be, where he needs to be.
I agree. The whole airport scene was amazing.
Yeah, it was... I don't think there will ever be a more perfect return. I'm sorry. Second best perfect return in history.
Second best. Ooh,
Second best.
Okay. What was the first one?
First one's a little out of left field.
Okay.
It's Edge returning to the WWE. I'm sorry, that is the number one best return of all time.
That wrestling sweaty coming out of you.
Yeah, the wrestling child in me had to say that Edge's return was better than Spider-Man's return.
Okay.
And wrestling fans will understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But that doesn't knock it down a peg at all. That just means that Spider-Man's return was just so insane.
Just seeing Spider-Man with the shield, though.
Yeah, that was epic.
That was it. Okay, but I wanted to, let's go back. So the MCU as a whole, let's break it down into phases. You have phase 1, 2, 3, and the upcoming phase 4.
Okay.
Let's talk about phase 1. What's your take on phase 1?
So, phase 1. We're here. We're down in the mud, okay?
The nitty gritty.
We're seeing Robert Downey Jr. for the very first time on screen. It's like, whoa, who's this jerk off? And why is he playing Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
I mean Iron Man. Sorry. Forgive me.
Why is this fucker playing? Why is he playing Spider-Man?
Listen, okay, I may have come from an alternate universe.
You got Spider-Man on the mind. You're just like, ooh.
Oh yeah, my dick is hard right now for Spider-Man. But okay, but I mean Iron Man. When Iron Man first came out, nobody thought anything of it. But people were like, "Oh, Iron Man 1. Okay, cool."
Iron Man was a B-list superhero character at that point, right? Because even me as a kid, I was like, Iron Man, what the fuck?
Iron Man, whoa, dude, you're wearing a car. Sick one, bro.
Yeah, so go on. What were you saying?
Iron Man, if we're starting from the very beginning, I'm not talking about the Hulk. We're not including that because that doesn't exist.
Oh, hold on.
Doesn't exist.
We can include that just for what it's worth because it's part of it.
All right, so here we are, hot garbage. We didn't think anything would come from it. Boom, Iron Man. Okay, now Iron Man. Iron Man is where it all started. We realized that it's like, okay, this is a great movie, but where's it going? Yeah. And then, boom, American Man.
American Man shows
up
and killed them Nazis.
That came to my mind was American Soldier.
American Soldier comes out.
The Walmart version of Captain America.
That's funny. There is a character named U.S. Soldier.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was like G.I. Joe.
No, okay, yeah.
But yeah, okay. It's Captain America came.
Wait, you forgot about Thor.
Okay, sorry. Thor, hot garbage. Moving on. Captain America was the moment where we realized is okay, you know, Iron Man 1 was something.
Yeah.
Captain America 2 or Captain America 1, it was something that built off of something, and that was, I feel like personally, the moment people realized that this was building up into something bigger than you realized.
Yeah.
And I think it was, what was it, Iron Man 2? Before
the first the thing I was going to say is, you skipped over 3, so you went from Iron Man to Captain America, you skipped over like 3 whole movies. So you have Iron Man, which was really good. RDJ is Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Then you have the fumble, which was Incredible Hulk. It's like, is this part of the same universe?
Yeah.
Came back. Iron Man 2, I think, was the next one. It was decent. Not the best. I wouldn't say it was that good, but I mean, it was a decent flick. But then you have Thor, which I thought was good for its time, especially. No one knew Thor. No one cared.
It wasn't horrible.
Chris Hemsworth was Thor. It was great. Loki was in there.
Yeah, it was.
I like the world building of Asgard.
Yeah.
But then you get to Captain America, which is my favorites, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing this connected because you have the cube. I think. No, that didn't show up. So you have Captain America showing the first Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Which is laying the foundation. You have the Red Skull.
The cube, the Rubik's Cube of death. Of course, yeah. You know, he's the first one to solve it, has all the power in the world, of course.
But Captain America as a movie was really good. Because like, how are you going to make the guy with the little wings on the side of his head And the red boots, the red...
AKA scrawny soldier boy.
Yeah, how are you going to make that
or
interesting?
Sorry, scrawny soja boy.
They're both scrawny.
Yeah, they are. They're both very scrawny men who went through various changes in their lives to become who they are.
Yeah, but it's like, I figured, how are you going to make Captain America interesting? And it's like, okay, they actually did.
Yeah.
Chris Evans, you didn't think was going to be a good Captain America.
It's like if we just make Captain America hot, then it could work.
Yeah, it can happen.
And it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, at the end, it's like, okay, I like this. Where it's going. And then they give you that little snippet of Avengers, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So this is what it's all building up to.
Yeah, before we get on to the Avengers, I just want to say really quickly, quick little homage to my boy, John Krasinski.
Homage?
For trying out for the role of Captain America. That is easily the funniest Phase 1 story I've ever heard.
You know what's funny is I could see that, though. Like, have you seen him in Jack Ryan?
I don't care for his Jack Ryans. I don't really...
So it's just like, as like a kind of beefy,
beefy dude, yeah.
It kind of works. But I can't see him as like...
You can't put him in Chris Hemsworth's spot.
See, I'm gonna bring him up later. But I mean, yeah. But the theory that was floating around for Captain America back in the day, everyone wanted John Cena to be...
Oh, no.
It's so funny when people put these wrestlers, like, typecasting. I want Triple H's Thor.
Isn't he recirculating to join?
I think he wants to, because he's making his big break in acting, so...
Yeah.
If Dave Bautista can join in...
Which is odd, right? Because it's like, how do you shoot a movie about someone you can't see?
Yeah.
He's not even... You can't... There's nothing.
It's a floating suit, like,
You're gonna have to CGI him in. It's crazy. But yeah, real life superhero powers aside, on to the Avengers.
Yeah, the big
kahuna, the big daddy, big chungus of its time.
The big cheddar cheese.
Yeah. So, when it first came out, that was everybody's realization of like, oh, this was the bigger picture. This was what they were trying to do from the beginning.
Yeah, because no one expected a movie like this where you can fit all these stars into one movie and be like, okay, how the hell are you going to balance this out?
Yeah. Easy. Just put Hulk on one side and then everybody else on the other. Perfect.
Balanced as it should be.
Perfectly balanced as it should be.
No, but
what if Thanos was like on a home cooking show? Dude had his own cooking.
Like a Martha Stewart show?
He made sure that every teaspoon was a perfect measurement. He couldn't go over. He had to start
He'd
over.
have the perfectly balanced cake.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to whip this batter until it's perfectly balanced. Like this recipe should be.
If anyone can do it, Thanos can.
Yes, Thanos.
Thanos.
Famously
Thanos.
Called Thanos Anus. But yeah, after Avengers happened.
No, but I mean, you have to look back at Avengers and just how amazing.
Yeah, it was a masterpiece of its time that still holds up today. Yeah. Maybe not Avengers 2, but Avengers 1.
Oh.
We'll get into that, but yeah, Avengers 1 fortunately still holds up to this day because now, 10 years later, it gives you nostalgia rather than goosebumps.
But it's so funny to watch it. I just watched it last week again.
Okay.
And it was interesting because it's like, everything that happens now, it kind of gives some extra layers to watching it before. Like, not knowing anything that's going to happen. Yeah. It's like, wow, to see where it went to and where it's heading.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy.
You already know what's going to happen. It makes it feel a little different.
Yeah. I think you have to give credit to Joss Whedon, too.
Yeah.
Because he was so good on TV at, like, juggling characters and giving them enough time to shine,
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why
it made sense at all.
Yeah. But yeah, Phase 1.
Did he return for Avengers 2? Was that him? He did? Okay.
Yeah, they brought him back.
I'm so glad they kicked him out.
I think he
stepped
out. I think he was like, I'm done
thank
with
God. Thank God. He was not doing a good job.
But before Avengers 2, let's start with... So Phase 2, kicking off with Iron Man 3.
Okay. Iron Man
What's your
3,
take?
hard start. Hard start.
Hard start.
Definitely not the start you want from the next phase.
Here's
but
the thing. It's like, I thought so too, but it's like, looking back and just kind of watching it again,
yeah.
the movie's smarter than what people give it credit for.
Oh, of course.
I'd say it's more of a Tony Stark movie than an Iron Man movie.
Yeah, because it deals with psychological issues rather than superpowers.
It deals
It's
with him
not
as a
about-
man rather than
Yeah.
the suit, which is interesting.
Because the whole point of it is like, this is Iron Man 3. This is the end for Iron Man and his story. Like, you have to take what has happened so far and wrap it up so that he can only be kind of a background character from here on out,
yeah,
which is all you really need him for.
which is a shame because I'm sad they forced Iron Man 2 in there because I feel like you could have kind of lengthened out the Iron Man story a little bit.
You could have, but at the same time, I feel like that would have... Being where Robert Downey Jr. wanted to end,
Yeah.
it just simply wouldn't have fit, and they would have had to maybe possibly recast him or leave it off on somewhere where it's like, oh, okay, well, what happens next? We don't get an answer.
Yeah,
So, unfortunately, it does kind of wrap up nicely.
yeah,
Just hoping deep down that it wouldn't,
yeah.
and that it would keep going.
I feel you. So, Iron Man 3 as a movie, solid.
Solid, not a great start, but solid. If it would have been the second movie in the phase, I would have been a little more inviting.
See, that's the funny thing about the second movie in the phase. Thor: The Dark World.
Oh,
If you started with something like that, that's an even harder start than Iron Man 3.
yeah,
Like,
that's
fuck.
why it almost felt fitting when Avengers 2 finally happened, because it's like, we're up here with Tony, we're up here with the Avengers, we're on Cloud 9, and it's like the stock fell. It fell when Iron Man 3 hit. But
Well, not
people were thinking to themselves at this time, okay, only up from here, right?
Yeah, because I think they capitalized on the success of Avengers because people were off Avengers. I think Iron Man 3 made $1 billion something at the box office.
Yeah.
So people were like, "Whoa, Marvel!"
Yeah.
But then Thor 2 comes out and they're like, "Oh fuck, Thor 2." Drops dramatically. I think it's one of the least profitable.
Yeah, and that's where it really plummets.
Yeah.
What was the movie after that? It was
Winter Soldier, Captain
Winter
America.
Soldier. And that's where it goes back up.
Yeah.
Phase 2, all in all, was a very
Phase
up
2
and down
was a
phase.
hiccup. Because Thor 2, you don't even do you remember the name of the villain from Thor 2?
Oh my god. I know who it's the Ice King.
No, it's not.
no.
That's the first one.
No, it's from the Dark Dimension. I completely forgot his name.
No, that's Dormammu.
Oh no.
So it's funny. No, he's forgettable. It's a dark elf named Malekith.
Yeah, Dark Elf, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I
So-
knew it had something to do with dark something. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
he's
what it
so
was.
forgettable that no one even cares. The only interesting thing about that movie is Loki again, because it's Loki, and then you introduce another Infinity Stone,
Yeah. Yeah.
the reality stone.
They were Thor Dark World basically just felt like nothing but
It just
just
felt
like,
like
I need to put stuff in here
It
to
felt
make
like
it
a
seem
ba-
like it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But part of that is why I think why because they took a director from Game of Thrones, Alan Taylor,
Oh. That
He has
movie
no
felt
direction.
very Game of Thrones.
and it's not the direction they should have went because you look at the character designs for Malekith,
yeah.
they were so colorful. Like
Yeah.
half blue, half red with like, and the dude just went with the character design of black suit,
Yeah.
white face.
No
Very
story,
blasé.
boring. It's like, I want something from you, and then Thor goes, you can't have it. And that was Thor: The Dark World.
I'd consider that a little. They dropped the ball,
Yeah,
but then
it
Winter
was-
Soldier comes around. That was one of the highlights for sure.
Great movie, but boring. Great movie, but
Oh,
boring.
I disagree. One of the most interesting movies of up to date of the MCU is Winter Soldier.
Like I said, great movie, but boring.
But I want to hear your take of why you feel it's boring.
Well, I think the movie is terrific, and I think that it's a lot higher on my list than certain Marvel movies. But the movie, the first time I watched it, halfway through I fell asleep.
Really?
Second time I watched it, I stuck all the way through, but I was so goddamn lost that just didn't understand.
Were you watching it at a house and you fell asleep?
No, I watched this separate times on my own.
Oh.
And finally by the third time after getting to Avengers 2, I finally knew what the story was about.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, now I understand what the hell is happening. I think for me personally, the thing that made it boring is that it was just very ever so slightly too convoluted.
Really?
That there was just too much story that you had to invest yourself into. Coming off of Thor: The Dark World,
yeah,
it's like just this mindless like goop to just this really intricate, very well done, very put together, very long movie.
Yeah.
It's hard. It makes it very hard to watch. And that's why I thought it was just a little boring.
See, for me, it's the complete 180 opposite. As the most entertaining because they brought in the Russo brothers, where they're kicking off their stride and you're seeing, whoa, they're actually showing Captain America modern day, geopolitical, spy movie, all these twists and turns, and then you have a twist like Hydra being within S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
It's so layered, and I love that.
Oh, yeah, it had a
it's
lot
like a
of
fat
great...
cake, and you're just having a slice. You're like,
it had a lot of great things, but I think the base level of that movie was like, there was just too much happening on ground level. The whole movie was just right here on the ground.
Yeah.
There was no flying, there was no explosions, there was no superhero movie. There was a very base level Defenders-esque movie.
But I guess that's where we differ, because I enjoy that aspect, but I guess that's a turn off for you.
I feel like
because the explosions and everything were like at the end, where you have like big bombastic Falcon flying, Cap taking down the airships by himself.
Yeah. And that was great and all. It was touching, heartwarming. Still a terrific movie. If I had to give it a out of 10, me personally, 8.5 out of 10.
That's still pretty good for...
Yeah. I mean, it's a terrific movie, but for me personally, it's just too goddamn boring. It's just, there's just nothing... There's no point in the movie where I really wake up and I go, oh my god, this movie is investing me. It's just not.
That's what we in the industry call a hot take.
A hot take, yep.
But okay, so...
Drop the take, it's too goddamn hot.
So, going from that... where they're setting up for Age of Ultron with the twins, the Maximoffs.
Yes.
You have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yes.
Which is an interesting thing to set up for. I like that aspect.
Yeah.
But then you take a complete left turn.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, right after Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Guardians. I think Guardians of the Galaxy was what Phase 2 needed. I think it came at the exact right time.
See, for you, everything was a miss. Like, everything up to Guardians was a complete miss.
Oh, I didn't think Winter Soldier was a complete miss. Me personally, I didn't like the movie. I think the movie was important to Phase 2 because it brought it to where it finally should have been from the beginning, and that's a high standard.
Yeah.
But Guardians took it to another level. After being on the ground, just so boring and just very straightforward spy movie.
Yeah.
We finally getting into the things that are very, very interesting, and that's space.
Yeah.
Space travel. Space.
The final
creatures.
frontier.
Final frontier. It's like we're finally doing something interesting in the story.
I'd say that was the biggest risk they were taking.
Yeah, and it came at the exact right time.
Did you
was
know
it the greatest movie in Phase 2? No. But it came at the exact
I would say it was the
right
most
time.
important movie of Phase 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you know the Guardians before the movie?
No. I was like, what even is a Guardian?
I heard of the Guardians before it, but I was like, some niche little thing.
Yeah.
You hear it and you're like, wow, they're actually making a movie about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you watch and it's just so like, whoa, these characters are like actually great. Like, they all suck in their own individual ways, and together they become great.
Yeah.
It's like they're They're a more dysfunctional Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
essentially.
It's funny, I was like balancing that many characters in one film without even knowing any of them.
Yeah.
Could have failed, but
Yeah.
they actually.
And it's like, people complain about, it's like, we don't have enough backstory to this character. But Guardians just did it well enough to where nobody cared. Everyone was like, yeah, this works. We don't care about any. Oh, your mom died? Cool. Cool, your mom's dead? Awesome. I don't give a shit. I mean, it really was just like we went with it, and it worked.
And that was the first full showing of Thanos.
Yeah, the
Which
first
is important.
Thanos reveal in all his ass face glory.
His nutsack chin
His
glory.
wrinkly ass glory.
Yeah, I enjoyed Guardians. Not the top, but I enjoyed it. It was standouts were like Batista.
It was something that I think should have been in place for Avengers 2.
Really?
I think it should have been the thing that ended Phase 2, because the way Avengers 2 ended Phase 2, it kind of ended it on a low note. Like, it was like,
Here's the thing. That didn't end Phase 2.
What was I thought it was.
We're gonna
Was
get-
it Doctor Strange?
No, we're going to get to that. So
Okay.
after Guardians comes Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay, yeah.
So what? So you find that it's enjoyable, but not a good movie per se.
I think the movie Avengers 1 set up a standard that
Yeah,
Avengers 2 just simply
did not live up to.
it just fell flat on its face. It didn't even. It's almost like it didn't even try.
Yeah,
They thought like, okay, well, this Avengers 1 was so great. Let's just shove a bunch of random crap into Avengers 2 and everybody will love it.
my take when I first watched it, it was there's no stop. You know, we're in a movie where it's like you need some scenes where it's like
Yeah.
understanding things and then big scenes. Age of Ultron is a big scene, big scene, big scene.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
just like a
Silver's
train.
dead. Oh, now the
Just
movie's over.
just
Oh,
a
okay.
train going and you just can't stop it. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's because they're trying to set up so much.
Yeah.
Like you didn't need the scene with Thor finding out about the stones.
Yeah.
You didn't need
For
all
sure.
all this extra.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like they could have easily put it in an end credit scene and we'd go, whoa, oh my god, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I feel like they try to do too much at once.
Yeah, there was just too much. And the thing is, they could have easily just made a whole nother phase
Yeah.
explaining all the things that Avengers 2 did.
What I'm sad about, which I failed, I think they failed, was I feel like Ultron should have been brought in Iron Man 3 to some degree, and
Yeah.
then built through, like a thread.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
how are you gonna make a character in a movie and then
Yeah.
end it in that same movie?
Perfect scene idea. The very end of Iron Man 3 end credit scene, he says, I'm building a weapon.
Or
I'm
he's just
building a suit."
he's talking to an AI,
Yeah.
and then it's like over.
Movie end.
I see. It's like because I feel like Ultron's one of my favorite characters, and I hate the fact that they just
Yeah.
rushed him so
He-
fast.
Yeah. Joss Whedon really fucked that up. If I ever see that dude in the
There's-
back alley, I'm probably not going to hurt him in any way, but I will stare at him quite intently.
Like a gaze.
Joss!
Joss! No, okay, but
And then when he approaches me, sir, why are you staring at me so angrily? Joss Whedon!
I liked Ultron. There were things in Ultron that I did like,
Yeah.
and just so many great little ideas, but execution failed.
Poor.
Yeah,
Rather
but
poor.
I find enjoyment out of it.
Yeah. Ultron gets built and dies in the same
But it
movie.
is important because then you find out the Chitauri scepter is the Mind Stone,
Yeah.
which the people were anticipating, but we didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
And then Vision comes to life.
Yeah.
Quicksilver dies.
Just so much happening in one movie that it's like that's the thing. I look back and I say I can almost guarantee 1,000,000% that Marvel now today, they look back on what they did to Quicksilver and they cry. They cry at night because they know that was the wrong thing
I
to do.
think they did it because they had a deal with Fox at the time.
Yeah.
So there was a whole debate between who can use which characters.
Yeah.
So apparently, since Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are Avengers, they were trying to argue that they could use them.
Yeah.
but they're mutants at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think the agreement they came to, because you have Quicksilver in Days of Future Past,
Yeah.
and then you have Scarlet Witch. I think they said, okay, you can use Quicksilver, but you got to kill him off in that movie.
Yeah, because they were in that same year. They made a Quicksilver, like they put it in one of the X-Men's.
Evan Peters, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was a better Quicksilver.
Yeah, I mean, really, we watched our Quicksilver, MCU Quicksilver. It was, dude was on screen for like 20 minutes and he died. Not even, like 10 minutes. Dude
but
was
he had more character in the X-Men. But
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that's what happened. So I mean, it sucks. Maybe they can do like a Deus Ex Machina and bring him back somehow.
Oh, yeah. They probably will in the end. I mean, but even so, I say that if they could change the past right now, they would.
Yeah.
By simply just writing the twins out of the movie completely.
Yeah, they didn't need to be there, but
introduce the twins, but don't put them in Avengers 2. Completely better movie. You don't have to kill off anyone.
Yeah.
And now all you have is Ultron being built and Vision being built.
So
it's the meeting of two minds.
Yeah, I also think that's the thing with Joss Whedon, is he always feels like he needs to kill someone to have
To have impact.
Because in the first one he killed Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, who am I going to kill this time?
Yeah, and then they brought him back. Didn't he come back alive like the next
in the
episode?
show?
Yeah, in the show.
But I don't know if that's... See, I was going to get to that later. I don't know if
like
the
he
shows...
pulls off and says, "I'm back, bitches."
I don't know if the shows are deeply connected to the movies. Would
Yeah.
you say that they're connected?
I would say that they are. The show themselves is deeply woven, but the movies aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show is very much invested into the movies, but it's not.
It's a one-way street.
Yeah,
like,
it's a one-way street.
They're connected to the movies, but
Yeah,
the movies don't mention them.
Shows love them, but the movies don't love them.
But yeah, Age of Ultron, I still love it, but
Yeah, unfortunately.
it's like you watch it, like it could have been so great.
It could have been great. So let's go ahead and move away from this train wreck.
Yeah, so
move on to the next
The
movie.
thing that actually ends Phase 2, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. Okay, that makes sense. Good movie, not great. Next movie. We'll skip over that. We all know how everyone felt about.
The only thing I
Ant-Man.
want to say about Ant-Man is I'm so sad that Edgar Wright didn't get to direct it.
Okay.
Because you see the aspects of Edgar Wright in that movie, and it's like, fuck, they got rid of it. It's like, whatever. Okay, but yeah, Ant-Man, decent. I liked it, but not
Okay.
great.
Next we're on
Phase
to
3. This is it. The big kahuna.
The end. The ending.
Yeah. This is the end. Civil War.
Yeah, that
To
is
start
correct.
off the phase.
Civil War did start off Phase 3. That's
Which is
crazy.
interesting. Like, that's a great start.
That's how you start off a phase, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Greatest start to any phase probably to ever come, honestly. The introduction of someone we've needed and the separation of two people we
Which is
never
Black
thought
Panther,
we
right?
would have. But yeah, Civil War. Anyway,
See, but everyone always glosses over, like, Spider-Man was introduced, yes, but I feel like Black Panther as a character was like, he actually was pretty good in that movie.
Yeah, they did a terrific job of setting someone up in a way that we didn't know they could be set up. Not in an end credit scene, not in a little mentioning his name in somewhere in the dialogue. Find it in the whole 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
They put him in the movie. They gave him lines. They set up his character, and they say, you know what? Right now, this is a teaser.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a whole movie for him. It's like, oh my god! Like, I need to know more.
This is the
Yeah,
appetizer.
it gave you that feeling of I need to know more. I don't know who this is, and I need to find out.
Yeah.
And he did a great job. Chadwick Boseman. I'm almost to the point where I feel like nobody else can play Black Panther
Yeah.
because he's just so amazing at it. He is.
This is the first live action incarnation of.
Yeah.
So whoever has to play him afterwards. it's
Yeah.
big
But I mean,
shoes to
like,
fill.
that's not always the case. War Machine, first War Machine. That dude dug.
He was good.
I liked him, but it's like.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, they're both guys, Don Cheadle and then, why am I blanking it? Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, yeah.
Both guys were good.
Yeah, they were both great.
So, I mean, but I feel like the best scene in that movie to pick from is the airport battle.
Yes.
It's like a splash page on screen.
Yeah, it's easily the best scene. Third best scene in Marvel movie history.
Third best? Wow.
Scene in Marvel movie history.
Even with the Ant-Man on the Hawkeye arrow coming to life.
I don't know if you remember the Endgame scene.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the original Avengers meetup scene in the middle of broken down Times Square.
Okay.
Third best scene, hands down.
Okay. Fair
Third
enough.
best.
What a way to start off the phase, though.
Yeah.
Because that's probably one of my favorites.
It's like, it set up these expectations that it was like, oh my god, nothing can top this. And every single movie that came out after that was like, I bet you I can. I bet you I can. And it was crazy because it was like, you watch, it's like, nah, this isn't it. It's not going to top it. And then at the end, you're like, oh my god, it's getting better, and it's getting better, and it's getting better.
Okay, so right after comes Doctor Strange.
It was a good movie. Terrific movie. Probably not a whole lot of people thought it had the pizzazz it did.
Yeah.
But following off of Civil War,
yeah,
it did a fantastic job. It did a job that I don't think any of the other movies that predecessed this could have done. And that was slightly lower your expectations in a point where it's like the movie's still amazing, but coming off a movie of Civil War,
but it's not going to be as bombastic.
Yeah,
as
it's
crazy.
not. It's not even like you can't like the next movie that follows this is easily. There's no way if this would have followed Civil War, this would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
Phase 3 wouldn't be the best phase.
Here's what I'll say that human scenes with Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
they're not that great.
Oh, of course.
But anything mystical, as soon as he gets to Kamartaj,
yeah, you really feel the weight of the movie.
Yeah, it's that's when it's like, okay, this is great.
Yeah, and that's why it's like,
which is
it
probably
is a slight step down.
Which is why Rachel McAdams is not coming back for the sequel. Like, okay, we're just gonna forget all that human stuff.
Yeah, he was never a human. He was born into it.
You needed it to know Doctor Strange, but it's like, okay,
yeah.
Now we're past that. We're beyond.
It's like original Doctor Strange. You could have punched him square in the face, and he would have taken it like the pussy he is.
The visuals in that movie were just amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Trippy as all hell.
Yeah, it definitely set sort of the standard. I feel like going forward from this movie on of like what special effects can do for a movie.
The color palette, I think they did.
Yeah.
They changed cameras or something.
I mean,
because all the movies after that were colorful.
Yeah. And a lot of the CGI got a lot more intense than the following.
Well, not all of them.
Not all of them, but obviously it's like, we are talking about like coming off of Doctor Strange. This was like, oh, look what you can do with special effects.
Yeah.
You can make a simple man with like no powers, quote unquote, and turn him into a literal god with special effects alone.
The master of the mystic arts.
Yeah, essentially the master of the mystic arts.
But yeah, Doctor Strange was a good stepping stone, and I think it kind of went more up after the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a perfect example of they took what Doctor Strange did with special effects and they said, we're running with it.
We're balls to the wall.
We're doing colorful, we're doing lively, we're doing special FX.
I liked how it was more of a smaller story compared to the first one.
Yeah.
It's all about family.
Yeah. It felt a lot more like, now we're building this relationship. Now we're building this story. It was
very personal.
It's a good bridge into what I hope Galaxy 3 is going to be, and that's probably maybe the end. Who knows if
they said it's going to be.
Yeah, they said it is going to be. But you never know. Thor 4 is a good example of that. You never know.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
After a great movie like Guardians comes, I think, which is one of your favorites, Spider-Man Homecoming. The first full movie between Sony and Marvel to come together and make a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
What's your take on this?
Whew. The first ever Spider-Man movie, full official-fledged Spider-Man movie in the MCU. This one was a banger. It was a banger.
This is something we didn't even think we were ever going to get.
Yeah, it was a home run for sure, and that's people's expectations going into this is like, I love Tobey Maguire, or weirdos. I love our Andrew Garfield. I love Andrew Garfield.
You're not gonna cut him any slack.
No, they suck. Listen, if you like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, don't go to Comic-Con, please. You probably smell like cheese. But yeah, I mean, I think people going into it was like, I love Andrew Garfield or I love Tobey Maguire. I don't want to love Tom Holland.
Yeah.
So people automatically were like, it's not going to work out. He's not Spider-Man. This movie's going to fail. But it overshot expectations to a level that I didn't even, like, I had high expectations for it, but even coming out of the movie, I remember thinking to myself, wow, that was my personal favorite Spider-Man of all time.
Yeah. That's kind of my sentiments when I was coming out of that, too.
Yeah.
Because you have such a great... So it's in the MCU. You have Tony Stark in there. You have him as an actual teenager for the first time, I'd say.
Yeah, on screen, yeah.
Like what an actual teenage high school looks like.
Yeah.
And then you also have such a great villain in Michael Keaton's Vulture.
Yeah. Very weird. He loves playing bird characters. Dude's a
It's
weirdo.
a fetish.
Yeah. At one point, I was like, is this his fetish? Does he just like being a bird?
Does he want to be a bird?
Does he want to actually be... Do you think he sits at home like, caw! Caw! Sweetie, what do you want for dinner? Caw! Caw!
Him with wings, I don't know. But yeah, it was so great. So grounded. And yet so much... Like, the stakes were there.
Yeah.
So it was interesting
There
to
was
see.
a lot of high-flying action combined with ground-level action, and that's all I ever want in a movie. It's just simply, I don't want to be in the sky all the time. I was never a huge fan of, like, I'm not the biggest Guardians fan, but they do make good movies. And I was never a Captain America fan, but they do make good movies.
Yeah.
Spider-Man finds the best of both worlds in that, and that I know how to be in the air, and I know how to be in the cosmos, and I know how to be in space, but I also know how to be a normal person.
The friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, I literally know how to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I think they succeeded.
Yeah.
I think props to John Watts.
I feel like that sums it all up. I feel like we can definitely move on.
That was great.
Terrific movie.
But which I feel like they actually even progressed further with Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah,
something we didn't expect.
Yeah.
We thought it was gonna be like garbage. We were like,
Yeah.
especially after Thor: The Dark World, we're hesitant. We're like, okay, is this gonna be good?
Yeah, it's like every time you think the MCU has hit its peak with the movie that you just watched, specifically in Phase 3, you watch a movie, you'd be like, this is the peak. This is it. There's no way it could get better than this. Like, I expect Avengers to be just as... The next Avengers 3, to be just as good as this. And you don't expect it to be better. And it gets better with Spider-Man. And then you watch Thor, and it gets better with Thor.
Yeah.
And then you watch the next movie, and it gets better with the next... And then you watch Avengers, it's like, wow. I was at 100 with Civil War,
Yeah.
but Endgame really pushes it to 1,000. It really feels like they just had to keep going and keep saying, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, Thor was great. I'd like Taika Waititi and like all that. Took it in a different direction. I'm so glad where he took the character.
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
What was your take on that movie?
But first, I would like to say about Thor in terms of changing his character. Up till Thor Ragnarok, we didn't have a real comic relief other than Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, Paul Rudd's comedy is nice, it's
great,
good,
yeah.
it's dad humor, it works.
I like that.
But
It works for me.
it can't carry 7 or 8 different characters. It just can't. You need people like the new Thor in Thor Ragnarok to carry...
Who knew Thor was going to be a comic relief?
Yeah, and the thing is like, it sounds stupid going into it. Like, I remember thinking, oh, so he's funny now? I'm supposed to just expect that this dude is just going to be fun? Dude was the most boring character in the MCU. Now he's just funny all of a sudden. I was really apprehensive about that aspect of his character, but going into the movie, I was like, okay, he's pretty funny. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, this is way better than the man who just talked about, I will not let a joke fly over my head. Oh my god. And I know that's Drax, but that's essentially, they were essentially the same. But he did it on a level that was just not funny.
Yeah.
He was just boring Drax.
I'm so glad the direction Taika Waititi went with it,
Yeah.
It gave a lot of fresh
Yeah.
stuff
Taika
to
Waititi is what the Marvel Universe needed at the time that it was, because it was like we were riding so high on our emotions coming off of Civil War, off of Spider-Man,
Guardians.
off of Black Panther, off of Guardians. There was nothing other than Guardians having a little bit of comedy in it, Drax being the comedy relief. It didn't feel like there was something like Ant-Man. Like, if they brought in Ant-Man where Thor Ragnarok was, it would be hard because we're just so deep in our emotions at that point. But Thor did a much better job because it was just so funny that it really pushed it. It pushed the bill and said, we understand you're feeling something right now, but take a break from that.
Yeah.
Let's just laugh for a moment.
I think it brought in comedy, and I think it was the most fun.
Yeah. It was definitely one of the funnest movies I've ever watched in the Marvel universe.
For sure. But then after Black Panther comes right afterwards.
Yes.
Which is, I'm on the fence because it's like, it's good.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone, like, the symbolism around it was more important than
the movie itself.
Yeah.
I think if there is one thing I have to say to preface what I'm about to say.
To preface?
Just to preface.
Disclaimer.
Rotten Tomatoes gave the movie, I think right now it's comfortably sitting at 97% on Rotten Tomato.
Wasn't it at 100 before?
Yeah, at one point it stayed at 100, and then it finally started dropping down once people started, like, trickling in, like, the late moviegoers, the average moviegoer started trickling in. I think that's where the rating started to fall because it stopped being something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, I think as far as the Rotten Tomato score goes, it's not correct. I think they did it wrong simply because you can't tell me that Spider-Man Homecoming was a 94%, but Black Panther stayed at 100% for a good few days. That doesn't make sense.
I agree with you because there's a few things it did right and then a few things it did wrong.
Yeah.
World building was great. Villain was great.
Yeah.
The characters were great, but I feel like the flow of the movie plus
it did feel
the ending with the CGI, the PS2 graphics fight scene at the end.
And this is coming off of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, when you have the universe is using such a great CGI. Yeah. And I know why it's bad, but I mean it's still no excuse to put something like that out.
But I'm not trying to say that Black Panther wasn't good. Black Panther, if I had to score it on Rotten Tomatoes, if it sat comfortably at a 92%, this wouldn't even be like okay, whatever, you know.
But when it's like a 99%, then
99%, as of right now, it is the highest rated Rotten Tomato Marvel movie ever. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, statistically, when you look at the dollar amounts each movie has earned, it statistically doesn't even make sense.
I think it's just because it's so important that people are like, okay. It is an important movie, but I mean,
people put a weird
inflated
message into something and put something that wasn't there, and that's kind of wrong to do for a movie simply because it's like, is it really, like, better than you think it is just because you put the symbolism there? They're putting rose-colored glasses
It's
on.
good to do that for, like, your take, but in, like, a technical sense, you gotta look at it objectively. I don't think people look at it
They're not looking at it as a movie. They're looking at it as, like, an object.
Yeah. But here's why the CGI was so bad. Avengers Infinity War comes right after.
Okay.
They had all their teams working.
Yeah.
Which was so part one of, like, the big culmination of all this coming up.
Yeah. So
Infinity War.
Right after that, Black Panther, Infinity War comes in. And we started off, where did we start off? Where did the movie start?
So after Thor goes off on his ship to save his people,
yes.
Thanos is wrecking shit, has the gauntlet, has his stones and he's on his his mission.
Thanos is the only one in the MCU at this point with the stones to be fighting Thor. But
it's interesting. It's like, I feel like the best way to watch this movie is to watch it as the Thanos movie.
Yeah.
Because it's basically his story of how he gets to where.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just like a side character.
Yeah. It's like, till this point, we haven't seen much of Thanos, and guess what? He now gets his own sort of backstory, somewhat, movie.
Yeah.
A story that encapsulates the questions that everybody had on their mind going into this movie. And it's terrific. It does a great job in building into the ending, which is just amazing. Like, you had to build a whole movie just to tell the ending.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
It was one of the ballsiest things, because it's like, you want them to win,
yeah,
and then throughout the whole movie, they're just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
And at the very end, when everyone's getting dusted,
yeah,
and it's like, wow.
Like cheeks. Straight cheeks getting dusted.
Wait, is it ending? Everyone's dying. Wait.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Thanos sitting in accomplishment on his farm, just like, I did it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. They have the balls.
Paul, I did it, Paul.
They had the balls to do that. That's insane.
Yeah, and it felt like that it was some sort of weird ending. Because it's like, you don't want to believe it's true, but then it's like, no, but this is happening. Like, this is real. The reality is, the past 10 years of your life has been building to the moment of their defeat. And that really rings true, even to the very end. It's like, it's like, that's it. There was no going back, and there was no fixing it. You had to live with the consequence that these people, in the end, they were human. Like, you felt it. It's like, Thanos was basically, he was the universe in his hand. He was the entirety, he was God. And, that's the moment you feel like all these characters who looked so untouchable before, even though they have been defeated before, not in this way.
The first time they actually lost.
This was a clean sweep. Thanos came in there and
it wasn't even
him,
close.
Yeah,
I mean,
it wasn't even close.
If Thor went for the head, maybe.
Oh, maybe, but that wouldn't make sense.
So after such a big gut punch like that, we drop down, and we get to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh,
Which was supposed to be a palate cleanser.
Yeah, it was supposed to put you in this mood of like, okay, well, he got out.
It's a feel-good movie.
Yeah.
But it just does not hold up to the rest.
I think it was a good movie put in a terrible place.
It was. I disagree. It was not bad, but it's so-so movie. I put it there with almost like Thor: The Dark World.
I don't know.
Because it's like there's not a lot of imaginative things going on with it, especially with like the concept of shrinking and growing.
Yeah.
It's like, I like Peyton Reed as a director somewhat.
Yeah, but you have to look at it as a thing of like, this is Ant-Man 2.
Yeah.
Remember Iron Man 2? Remember Thor 2?
Captain America 2 is way better than that. Captain America 2 was
the only exception.
Yeah.
Ant-Man was victim to the second movie. And it was put in the worst possible spot for the second movie. Every second movie up until this point just has not been anywhere near as good as the first or the third.
Yeah.
And that's it. Unfortunately, that's just how it is.
I guess for me, I just liking Ant-Man a lot for what it was, and like seeing what Edgar Wright did with the visuals.
Yeah.
I feel like they just dropped the ball for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. I mean, it was alright, but.
Okay. Yeah.
On to Captain Marvel, which is the second and the in between.
Yeah.
For Infinity War and
Endgame. I liked Captain Marvel. Do I think it was the best Marvel movie ever? No, not really. It felt like, I said this from the beginning coming out of the movie theater. I was like, I watched the Winter Soldier female version, but in many ways, Captain Marvel did what I hoped the Winter Soldier was going to do, which it just never did. Take it off the ground. Take it away from the ground. It had good moments on the ground, but it also did great moments in space.
Yeah. I'm in the camp where it's like, it's a good movie. but she doesn't have a lot of character.
The actor herself isn't. If
She's
they replaced
good.
her,
No, she's good.
I like her. It's just if they replaced her, I wouldn't be the maddest person in the world. If there was one person where I looked at it and I go, yeah, you could replace her, it'd be Brie
I
Larson.
thought she can do good with this character, but they just didn't. The writing aspect,
Yeah.
they did not give her like. She's just strong woman.
Yeah, it's just too much.
And
There's too much hitting home of like she's independent, she's strong.
Yeah,
she's
but for what reason? It's just like you don't throughout the movie. You don't give that. It's like at the end. It's like okay, she gets up.
Yeah.
But what does that tell me? Like
it's
okay,
like just let the character be the character. If she is a strong woman, just show it. Actions are better than
what's
words.
a sneaky smart way they did it was that they gave her memory loss.
Yeah.
It's like okay, now you don't. It's like she doesn't need character, but it's like I would like for her. I hope they redeem it in like the second one. They kind of did in Endgame, but overall, so not that great. But now we get to the big, the creme de la creme. Avengers Endgame.
Avengers Endgame. All right.
The end of the
This was just essentially the one word that everybody in the world uses. Everybody knows that this is the one word that describes the movie. Culmination.
Culmination.
We all know it. We all said it. This is the end. This is the culmination of Avengers, of Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
This is everything that's been building is ending right here, right now.
Yep.
And going into this, coming off of Captain Marvel, what did you think her role would be in this movie? Did you think it was going to be a big role, a small role, an important role?
Coming off of the post-credit scene of Captain Marvel, seeing her come back, she's like, "Where's Fury?"
Yeah.
It's like, okay, she's gonna be part of the team.
It's
to
like
save
Thanos hit her with the "you up" text, and she came running.
I thought she'd have a bigger role.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, watching it. It's like, okay, how are we gonna do this? How come you're not helping more, Carol? It's a big universe out there. I don't think you quite understand.
A very weird cop out, but okay, sure, I guess.
It's like, okay, yeah, but I mean, I understand. I guess they didn't want her to be like the one leading it just yet.
Yeah.
You wanted the original Avengers to shine for one last time.
Yeah, you didn't care that she wasn't something, and that's what made Captain Marvel in this movie great, is the fact that she wasn't trying to take over. She wasn't trying to steal the shine. She just came off her own movie and she said, you know what? This isn't my job. This isn't my
place.
This is not my place. I did place and time, Carol. This ain't it. She is the outer space Karen.
But Endgame as a whole, like, it was slow-ish.
Yeah.
Like, the whole heist, the time heist aspect, I liked it. It was more of like an homage to fans.
Yeah.
Going back to like Avengers.
Yeah.
You know,
it felt like it's like we're guiding you through the journey that has happened so far, but in a way that's cinematic.
It's a love letter. It's like, thanks for watching all these movies.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked that aspect of, okay, a time heist. You go back to get the stones. And
it feels like two movies in one. It really feels like two movies put together.
Because it's like once Thanos comes back,
it's a
whole
ball game. It's a whole different ball game.
You see Cap and his broken shield.
Yeah, Cap, broken shield, still
him against
thick
the whole
as hell.
army.
Still thick.
It's
We're talking about
America's
ass here.
Him against the whole army, and it's like, fuck.
Do you think he ever backed it up on Black Widow?
I think he twerked.
Okay,
He's on the
end,
wall.
dude, we're talking about Thanos coming back.
One thing I wanted to say was in Infinity War, when Gamora sacrifices herself.
Yes.
You felt that. It's like, wow, she died.
It really, like, that was the first real death in Infinity War.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, you had Heimdall and Loki.
That's true.
That's when it was like, oh fuck, this is real.
Yeah.
But then
Heimdall. Loki, yes. Heimdall was like, okay, sure.
You know Heimdall.
I guess. I love, what's his name?
Idris Elba.
I love him. One of my favorite
Just think of him as Idris Elba. Like, no.
Yeah. I love him more as Idris Elba than I do Heimdall, but, you know.
So, but what I wanted to get at was, like, when Black Widow sacrifices herself,
Yeah.
Same exact scene, same music.
Yes.
You kind of glossed over the fact that she actually died.
Yeah.
It didn't have the same weight to it. I feel like they should have done some... If they just took out the music and had it silence, like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
It's actually...
And then just added one splat sound effect at the end. Like a bug hitting him.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, that's the only gripe I have.
Bimbo flying! Somebody catch her! That was, for anybody that doesn't know what that is, that was Christian Centineo in the movie Swiped. He says that.
I do not. I've
line,
never seen that.
It's a Netflix movie. I think it's a Netflix movie. I don't know. I think it was on Netflix.
I gotta check that out.
Very weird. Christian Centineo, weird guy. I think he came up with that line himself. It's a very Christian Centineo thing to say. But yeah.
But besides that, I'd say it's a pretty good movie from start to finish.
For sure. For sure.
Did you see the alternate scene that they were gonna have
For the ending?
No, for Black Widow and Hawkeye scene. I just saw it recently.
No, I don't think.
So Thanos and his army comes to Vormir.
Okay.
And they have to fight one last stand, and his troops are shooting Black Widow.
Yeah.
She's getting gunned down like fuck.
Yeah.
And she jumps off. I don't know if it would have been better, but it is what it is.
Oh yeah. So instead of her willingly jumping,
she's getting gunned down, and she just like jumps off like.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I got
There might have been.
genuine first reaction. This is what the people in the podcast need to hear. Okay? This
Yeah.
is why I do this.
This is why we do the things.
This is how we win.
We do it for you guys.
But yeah.
But besides that, yeah. What were you gonna say?
That sounds like a very interesting. I don't know if it would have held the same weight as her choosing to jump.
Yeah, I don't like how it was the same Gamora type of jumping off.
I guess. I mean, either way.
It takes the weight off of the scene.
Yeah,
for
I
me.
get. I think, me personally, I think either way, whether she would have been gunned down or jumped off, I don't think it would have made a huge difference to the overall movie. It's just something like a nitpicky, like, I could do without that.
Yeah, I'd say.
But, yeah. Moving on from that, we're talking about halfway through the movie, it feels like this is a whole different movie.
Yeah.
We go from time heist to just war. All out war. One of the best war scenes I've ever seen.
But to preface that, I was so consumed in the movie. It's like Cap versus everyone. How the fuck is it gonna happen?
Yeah.
And then you hear the little mic. It's like, Cap, do you read me?
Cap, do you read?
On your left.
No,
and everyone just comes out of the portals, and I was like, oh fuck, my balls shriveling up, and
because up until that point, you really feel like
hopeless.
This is just Iron Man and Thor and Captain America. It's them. That's it. The original Avengers. How are they gonna get out of this?
Yeah.
And then it pulls a 180 and creates the single greatest moment in Marvel history.
I think cinematic history.
Probably. Because
you're never gonna get anything as big as that.
Because it's like everyone died in the recent in the previous movie.
The Infinity War.
And your idea is, okay, we're at the end. Where are they? You know, nobody has showed up yet.
Because the Hulk does the snap. You don't see anything. You kind of forget about it because the three of them are fighting Thanos.
Yeah. And up until this point, the deck is really stacked up against him, and he is face to face with death, basically. And they hit you with a curveball and say, hey, we made it on time, and the original Avengers don't have to do it all alone anymore. Like, that scene was ushering in a new era of what this franchise is going to be moving forward. And that's why that scene has so many different meanings behind it. Yeah. That it works perfectly.
It does.
Yeah.
So especially when Cap picks up Mjolnir.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's like in Avengers 2 you thought he could do it.
There's so many scenes like that. Yeah. And then you have all of them built up together, and then he finally says, Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
Rushing in, everyone. It's such a feel-good moment, because then you have everyone coming in, beating ass.
For sure.
See Giant Man beating the shit out of a Leviathan like that.
And Arguably, I think the most underrated moment of this fight scene specifically is Scarlet Witch.
Oh, when she versus Thanos one-on-one.
I think that moment, everything that happened up until that point, Mjolnir, Captain America Mjolnir, that was crazy. And I was like, whoa, blew my mind. Insane. But I think the one that flies under the radar the hardest is the pure strength of Scarlet Witch. It's like, nobody realizes it in this moment.
She's the strongest Avenger.
When she's mad, there's nothing that can stop. Like, there's a reason in the comics she created the House of M.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're really showing you that side of, like, we're getting there.
Yeah.
The House of M is coming. And Avengers Endgame really shows that.
She just picked him up and just, like, tore his armor off like
nothing. If she really was, like, mad enough at that moment, like if he would have killed Quicksilver in that scene, Thanos is dead.
They kind of showed it. They showed it in Age of Ultron when Quicksilver got gunned down.
Yeah, and that's why
she just disintegrated everything around.
She blew up everybody. Like that whole she could have killed everyone in that single moment, but it was very held back.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Quicksilver would have died in this scene, Thanos would have been dead. He would 100%. That guy, he would have
he would have been disintegrated.
He would have been stopped immediately.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy because it's like we thought we had seen the strongest and most unstoppable character up until this point in Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, but then it's like you realize that Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet is only so powerful because it's like his power is limited to something he can hold. If he's not holding it,
he's still powerful without it, but not the strongest.
He's strong, but he's not.
Dude can take 3 separate snaps and still survive.
Yeah, he just stood. He ate it up. He said, "You know what? I'm good, fam."
But do you think the scene with all the women coming together to help Captain Marvel was kind of shoehorned in there? Like, do you think it was forced?
I loved it in Infinity War. I thought they did it perfectly. In Endgame, they did the exact same thing. I wouldn't have had a problem with it if they would have just done it in Endgame. But the fact that they did it in Infinity War, and then they did it again in Endgame...
It's like, okay, so you have everyone on the battlefield, and then you just see, okay, woman... I'm woman. Let's go fight.
Yeah, it felt like they were really trying to hammer home something.
Like I like it was cool to watch.
Yeah.
I like the empowerment thing, but it's like,
whoa, future is woman. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Take it out of Infinity War.
Yeah, that's nice.
If they took it out of Infinity War and just left it into Endgame, I personally think that would have hit home harder for me because it loses value. Just a little bit.
I feel like it takes the logic away a little bit, and they're just like, okay, all the women somehow know when to gather up and fight with each other.
But
overall, though, jizz in my pants, just orgasmic.
I like sports, and I don't care who knows. Exactly. Lonely Island shout out. All right, but Endgame. I think anybody will agree with you. Anybody that's even slightly kept up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Endgame is the greatest movie there is and there ever will be. Yada, yada, yada. Moving on.
Just wait till Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. Sure. But the last thing I want to say about it was it's such a good movie, but it's like I've grown up with it.
Yes.
Seeing Tony die and seeing Cap live his life. It's such a wrap-up. Where it feels like it's almost like it's upsetting in a way. It's like, dang, something I like so much is just like coming to an end. It's like a melancholy almost.
Yeah,
it's hard to watch. It's like you want to watch it, but
you realize that it's like a part of your growing up was with him, and it feels like them taking it away is them taking away your child.
Yeah, it's the end to a chapter, and it's like it's hard to take in,
and it's very hard going into this next chapter thinking highly of it.
But what's funny is right after feeling that, Far From Home, Spider-Man, it gives you that sense of don't worry, you're in good hands.
One last thing about Endgame that I would like to say that I think they hammer home, but I feel like maybe some people think that they don't. The snapping, it happened. They died, and that's permanent.
Yeah.
Everything that the MCU does is permanent, and you feel that at the end of it, Endgame, because it's like, you know, these aren't the people they were when they first went into the people change because of this, and it's like, you know that it's like they aren't who they are anymore.
I think it's called the blip.
Yeah. The blip, whatever, the boop, the blip, the bop, the shibbity boop bop, the doop boop bop. Yeah.
But Far From Home was such a great way to, such a great, because it gives you just a sense of hope. It's like, even though that chapter's gone, there's a future to look forward to.
He's the shining star in a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such, I love the way they did that.
And in my opinion, personal opinion, I know it's gonna anger some people in this room. Best second movie ever made. Best second movie.
I disagree,
ever made.
but
best second movie ever made. Some people in this room might disagree, but I think this was the only other second movie in the MCU made right.
I agree with that.
Avengers 2, wrong. Iron Man 2, not as great. Thor 2, horrible.
Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man 2, could have been better.
But Cap 2 is still on top.
It's good movie, not as good as Spider-Man.
Okay, for you, this is your Winter Soldier. This is
this is my antithesis.
Yeah. So
yeah.
As a movie, I liked what they did, especially with Mysteria flipping it on its head.
Yeah, it took what Doctor Strange taught, and it did it right.
Yeah.
It actually took the special effects aspect and built on it.
Because it's so funny. It's like you think, how are they going to do Mysterio justice in the cinematic format?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like they actually did it and it makes sense.
Yeah, I had hopes from the very beginning, from the movie's announcement, that they were going to do it correct, and I never once faltered, because I was like, I trust that they have what it takes to build this character into what he should be, instead of some dude just wearing a fishbowl on his head.
Yeah.
And they did. They made him better in so many ways than the comic book version of himself.
Yeah, those drones were such a smart way to...
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that aspect is just...
Yeah, they had to put a little bit of realistic into it, and it was great. And the thing is like, you can do that in 2019, because drones are a thing.
The one thing I don't like is just how it's global.
Yeah.
How he's in different countries.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they stuck to like ground base, where it's like sticking with the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I feel like that's kind of hard, because simply they dug themselves into a very small hole. Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home. They have to put home in the title.
They don't have to. But I mean they chose
to them,
to
they
do
felt like they dug themselves a tiny little hole that they needed to sort of...
It's that, plus it's like he doesn't have his own Spider-Man suit. He keeps making... Like, Tony he's like Iron Man Jr. in a way.
Yeah.
Which is... It's like... Let him be Peter Parker.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guy.
Yeah, come on.
He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
That's just,
no?
It's nitpicks, because I do like the movie. It's just personal preference, I guess.
For sure. It does a good job in putting you in a place that you need to be right after being on what felt like the end.
Yeah. Because this is such a good place where it's like, don't worry.
Especially the way it ended. Yeah. Especially it felt like there's like, oh my god, like Endgame, this is it. There's nothing great happening after this. But then the ending of Spider-Man Far
I'm so
From Home,
glad they brought back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah.
J.K. Simmons is like, that was the moment you knew, it was like, this is going to
There's
a
stakes
very great
still.
place.
There's stakes.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate. Now I'm just excited about the future.
The future and what's to come.
Yeah.
I guess we can just quickly discuss what's to come. What's coming up.
What is to come? I am about to come.
I'm waiting. Come, please. In my mouth. I'm ready. Come.
Okay.
Daddy, come in my mouth. I'm holding a knife to his throat.
Here's
he needs
what's
to
about
understand
to come.
that I'm coming in his ass. All right.
Here's what's going. Here's what's coming.
Cum.
Phase 4. You have Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings,
Yes.
Untitled Spider-Man movie,
Yes.
Thor: Love and Thunder,
Yes.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes. They all sound like promising movies. We'll talk about what are you most excited for?
For me, I'm mostly excited about Doctor Strange
Yeah.
and the shows,
Yeah.
which we didn't even touch on.
Yeah. The shows are a whole different. I hope my only thing that I'm gonna say about the shows is don't give me another Agents of Shield.
No, I don't think they're gonna do that.
No. We need
They have
it needs to be part of the movie.
They have movie budgets.
Yeah, that's why. It's like if you have a movie budget and it ends up being somewhere around Agents of Shield, then it's like I don't want
For the shows,
Cancel
you
it.
have Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
you have WandaVision, Loki, you have
Which is kind of weird. We're in August right now.
yeah.
The Disney Plus show still hasn't showed up.
No, they pushed it back.
Yeah, they pushed it back, which is interesting because they don't have to.
They're still
almost.
filming. They're still filming, so I mean, they kind of do.
Yeah, I guess. But I just felt it was like you could have put something in 2020 and it would have made sense.
I guess they weren't finished enough. Like they still want to polish it,
Yeah.
which is I like it because you're instead of pushing something out,
Yeah.
you're taking the time
For sure.
to make something
But
great.
yeah, going back to the upcoming movies, you're most excited for
Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
I would say, and Black Widow actually looked really good from what I saw.
Nightmare looks like he could have the potential to be like the best villain in this coming phase.
Especially
The
with
best.
Sam Raimi, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, for sure. He, in my eyes right now, unless I'm proven otherwise, is going to be the best villain in this phase specifically.
I would just be a little apprehensive because Marvel and their villains take a back seat. It's more so about the story of
for
the
sure. But I mean,
hero.
like, I'm definitely. This is me putting it out there and saying I'm going to be keeping my eye on him specifically.
But I'm also excited for Thor, only because it's Taika Waititi.
Oh yeah.
I don't
for
care
sure.
about Natalie
For sure.
Portman coming back, but
Yeah.
I'm sure if Taika,
You don't think that's going to put a little bit of a wrench in the story?
No, I mean-
Possibly Beta Ray Bill coming back.
here's the thing, I'm not a fan of Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you don't think that's going to be a little bit. We're going to have another Spider-Man 3 situation?
It could, but I trust Taika enough to see what he does, at least to just be hopeful but apprehensive.
Yeah.
But then I'm also excited about Shang-Chi, and here's why. Because it's bringing another person that I like within the ground level realm,
Yes.
and hopefully they can bring in some other characters like Daredevil
Yeah.
and Iron Fist. And
Yeah. I would not. After making the Netflix series, I feel like that relationship is dead in a small way.
I feel like they're not connected, but I hope that since they're all canceled, that they can transition
Yeah.
into whatever.
For sure.
Are you excited about any of the upcoming things, the shows, movies?
Honestly, surprisingly, I feel like this is going to be kind of a surprise. The Eternals.
The Eternals.
The Eternals does look like something that I have been wanting for a while. It's like we've had so much ground level stuff that it's like a little bit of cosmic is
Yeah.
going to be very healthy for this coming phase. Because it's like you look at this coming phase and you hear the movies that have been announced. It's like we're getting very different. We're shooting up off the ground. But we're starting with Black Widow, who is on the ground,
Yeah.
and we're going into the Eternals, which is all cosmic.
Yeah.
And then we got, Multiverse of Madness, transversal, like literally just transcending universes at this point.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I think I heard this theory from a YouTuber. Forgot his name. But
Daffy Duck 69, something like
Daffy
that. We'll
Duck.
use a generic name for now.
no, but I think the theory was that they're gonna take a bunch of kind of culty was his name.
Okay.
If you want to check him out.
Okay.
They're instead of one storyline, I think they're gonna go through different avenues
Yeah. Yeah.
of so you have a grounded storyline, you have a cosmic storyline,
Yeah.
you have a multi-dimensional one,
Yeah.
and then with Blade 2, it's also been announced.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen till like
20.
2027.
It's Phase
or some
5 for
weird
sure.
shit like that.
No, it's like 2023. Because Phase 4 is only from 2021 to 2022.
Yeah, but I mean, with all the dates being pushed back, you can't
It
help
could
but
be pushed
feel
back.
like Blade might not even
But Blade-
come till 27.
It'll be at the latest 2025. But I feel like they're
Could
gonna
be.
go into different avenues
Yeah.
with what they're gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. All right. Moving on to something better. Anyway, we are actually going to start wrapping this up.
With a final
saving
thought.
the best for last.
Yeah.
Probably the most controversial thing for last. Everybody has their opinions, and this is our opinion. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna run down each movie.
A personal list.
Our personal lists of what we think is the best and the worst movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I actually have,
specifically.
unless this is not your list, double check just to make sure. I think you wrote it down once.
I don't think it is. Okay.
Okay, but just in case, if you have your own list, I have a list. I have written.
We'll
my
start
list.
with you.
Okay. So starting from the bottom to the top.
We'll start from the bottom. Yeah, we'll go from worst movie in Marvel
Worst
history.
is Hulk, hands down. It's a good
Yes.
movie, but it just has the interconnected. It just doesn't. It's so out of place. I have to
Yes.
put it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Thor 2, only because it's so boring, unforgettable.
Yes.
Iron Man 2 because it's bloated, and it's fun, but it's not a good movie. Like there's so many better movies.
Okay.
Thor was good, which is why it's next.
Yes.
It's a decent movie, but it's all the tilted angles, the Dutch angle. That's not my thing, so it's lower. Ant-Man and the Wasp because it let me down so bad.
Okay. You thought it was worse than Ant-Man 1?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Iron Man 3, but only because every single movie after it is better.
Okay.
So it's not like I don't like any of these movies. It's just movies that come after to me are the better movies.
Yeah, you really feel like it hammers a better story home.
Ant-Man after that because it's just seeing that come to life. It's like, oh my god.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's different. Guardians, which is kind of controversial. The first Guardians right after Ant-Man.
Okay.
Because it's like I liked it, but I enjoyed everything much more. First Avenger, Captain America,
Okay.
right after that. Age of Ultron, which is low on the list, even though I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Still kind of low. Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Black Panther, that comes after that. I enjoyed Black Panther, but even though I enjoyed it more, I saw it has its flaws.
Yeah.
But I'll still put it kind of high. Captain Marvel after Black Panther. I just enjoyed it a little bit better than Black Panther.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Well, I feel like you like Captain Marvel because it's kind of just a girl version of Captain America
It
2.
is like it's a road trip. It's like it's more of a road trip than anything
Yeah, okay.
between her and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
just
through time.
I like the aspect that she's just that there's like it's Earth and then space.
Yeah. Yeah. Good healthy mix.
Character needs work, but it's a good start. Spider-Man Far From Home right after Captain Marvel,
Okay.
but then Spider-Man Homecoming is better. Right next on the list.
That's okay. Yeah. Sure.
Thor Ragnarok after that. First Iron Man, Winter Soldier,
Okay.
Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and then ending off with the first Avengers on top. I don't know if it's controversial, but that is my list.
All right. Very interesting list. So I think mine is going to be a little different from yours. I think we do towards the bottom. We kind of share a bit of similarities, somewhat.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, a lot of people out there are going to realize that there's a trend at the bottom here.
There's a solid bottom 5.
There's a trend at the bottom here that I think a lot of people are going to recognize simply because I've been saying it this whole time. There's just something about the number 2. It just rubs me the wrong way. Alright. So, at the very bottom, I've got Hulk. Okay.
Yep.
Then right after that, slightly better, but still absolute garbage, Thor 2.
We agreed so far.
And then right after that, Thor 1. It just... I took me a very long time to finally watch the first Thor.
Yeah.
And when I finally did, I said, wow, this sucks. This movie sucks. And this is the moment...
I feel like if it's because... Did you watch, like... Were there other MCU movies, like, later ones you watched before Thor? Because
yeah,
I feel like...
I think I watched the first original Avengers before I even watched
Imagine
Thor.
coming from a place where you see great movies like that, and then you come back to this, like, this
Or
not
no,
so good
actually, I
ones.
think I did watch Thor 1 right before I watched Avengers. I think that was the one where I was like, all right, now I got to figure out who this dude is and why I got to care about him.
Because I feel like it's hard to put them, to look at them, like... Objectively, because if you have better movies that come out, of course they're going to be towards
Yeah, of course.
the bottom.
Of course. But still, I mean, even looking back on it now, it's like, that movie sucked.
Yeah, it had its faults. Still enjoyable, though.
Alright. Right after Thor, this is where I think I'm gonna get a little bit of flack, because I think I might hate on this one a little unnecessarily. And, that's Avengers 2.
You're off on that one.
No, I'm gonna give my reason why I think Avengers 2 was almost as bad as Thor. Or maybe I'm missing something here. Let me look at your list to see if maybe I'm sort of missing a movie specifically.
I think you're still giving Ant-Man and the Wasp too much credit.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. So it was Hulk, Thor 2, original Thor, and now I'm at Avengers 2. My problem with Avengers 2 is that there was just too much wrong, and they did Quicksilver just too wrong. That for me personally, I was like, this is stupid, it's unforgivable, there's no reason for them to do this.
But you gotta look at the things they did right.
I did, but at the same time, it's like, when I look at the shining stars in that movie. Hulk was a shining star in that movie. The emergence of maybe possibly Captain America in the future wielding Mjolnir, a very small shining star.
You don't think Ultron was a shining star?
No.
Really?
I think Ultron was a terrific character in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is that he was a terrific character in the movie, but they did him so dirty.
They did. They made him too much of a comedic.
Because they made him so terrifically in that movie, it just made it worse. They could have done so much better, gave him a whole Thanos spiel, but they didn't, and that's my deal with it.
I feel like my only issue is he should have been more menacing.
Probably, yeah.
He was too jokey.
Yeah, he was kind of odd.
Like if you watch that first trailer, and it's like, holy shit, it's like a menacing robot.
Yeah.
And then it comes out and it's like making quips, and it's like, okay, buddy.
He comes out with his top hat and his cane on.
Hello,
folks! It is I!
Ultron!
Ultron!
So you have Thor, then Ultron.
Yeah. Iron Man 2. I think Iron Man 2 is a little better than...
in hell that Iron Man 2 was better
Listen,
than Avengers Age of
Whiplash
Ultron.
was a stupid character, and it was a stupid story, but the problem that I think... The thing that I think separates itself from Avengers 2 is the simple fact that Iron Man 2 was still a great character. Tony Stark was still a great character. The story only focused on these two people, and it was building War Machine.
They were setting up S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers.
Yeah, they were, but that's such a small thing where it's like Avengers 2, it's like they were just doing too much.
Black Widow did not need to be in that
They took
movie.
major storylines and just shit on them.
Yeah.
Too hard. Unnecessarily, which is why for me it puts it below Iron Man 2.
Fair enough.
And here we go. And the trend continues. Ant-Man 2.
At least it's
love
sort of
the
toward
movie,
the bottom.
but it wasn't a great movie. I personally thought the
I can't
movie
even
was
say I love
funny.
the movie.
I thought the movie was funny, but for MCU standards, it wasn't that funny.
Especially so far down the line. That's a movie you make when you're in the phase 1. But that you're already in phase 3. There's so much there's so much going on already that something like that just doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Continuing slightly on this trend, Ant-Man 1. Funny. Not the best MCU movie. Ant-Man needs to step it up in the next Ant-Man. So we need to see more out of this character unless they just intend for Paul Rudd to be comedic relief, which I think is a waste of a character.
I kind of want them to replace the director because he did fine.
Yeah.
But you need a fresh take.
Taika Waititi style take.
But I think they're going to stick with the same director.
Unfortunately, that could be the case. Now, moving on. Guardians 2. I think Guardians 2 was slightly worse than Guardians 1. I love Guardians 2. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it was a good movie. Doesn't mean it was a great movie.
I liked it better than the first Guardians because it was more personal. And you have more of a... It's like a... It's not... When all the characters are coming together, there's like some like origin stuff going on. But with this, it's kind of like you have the characters together going on adventures in the universe. It's interesting to see that rather than the beginnings, I guess, for me personally.
Alright, now, I feel... So I have Guardians 2, and then slightly above it is Guardians 1.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like the only thing that separates these two for me is that I had a fresh new face with Guardians 1, whereas Guardians 2 is like, it sort of feels like we're just building upon what Guardians 1 had, so it wasn't anything special. So, ever so slightly better than Guardians 2.
Yeah, like such a new thing, right?
Yeah. So this, I think you're going to be a little mad on how low this next one is. That's Captain America.
The first one.
First Captain America. And...
Well, no, according to this, if I was counting right, it's around the same place where I put the first Captain America.
Okay. All right, okay.
So not too
that
bad.
surprises me, because I thought you would be like a Captain America stan.
No. So it's like the later movies were great. The first one was good, but there's so many movies that were better than it.
Okay. All right, well, moving on to next movie I thought was a little better than Captain America the First. And that is Doctor Strange.
That's kind of low.
It was innovative. And I think right here in my list, it's dead middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Wasn't a bad movie at all by any stretch of the imagination. But when I'm looking at the next movie up, I think this is where it has to be. It can't be any higher, and it can't be any lower.
Yeah. It's a solid movie, but it's middle of the pack for sure.
Now, this next movie shows why that is. Winter Soldier. This is where we're getting into good territory, where the Marvel movies have... This is Marvel standard. This is what we expect from Marvel.
Yeah.
I have Winter Soldier next. Okay.
That's where we differ.
Yeah.
Mine is in top 5.
That's... See, I figured that this one would kind of be a little controversial because I know a lot of people look at this like it's not middle of the pack, it's much higher.
Yeah.
Whereas my list, it's middle of the pack. It was just never something that sparked so much interest and so much fire in me that made me feel like I needed to love it the way other people did. And I feel like my next entry might actually make you a little mad. Because I've said this a couple times already on the show that I think this is the exact same movie but girl version, Captain Marvel. Slightly better for me, Winter Soldier, just because of my own taste. I like the mix of ground level and cosmic. And Captain Marvel did that.
I only disagree because there's not enough character depth that warrants it being. That's just personal. Like, if you found more enjoyment out of it, then.
For sure. Now, Captain Marvel, this one, I think, is the point where it gets hard for me. Because now we're getting into the territory of I really need to sit here and I need to think, what are my favorite personal movies? And I think right after Captain Marvel, it has to be Black Panther.
You put that above Captain Marvel for you?
Yeah. I put it slightly above Captain Marvel simply because Captain Marvel, I liked it. It was fun. It was great effects, great stepping stone, great future, blah, blah, blah. Black Panther, better story. Completely. Yeah. 100%. They're the exact opposite of each other. Captain Marvel had all the effects and all the right things.
I thought the story visually was good, but the characters were what was lacking.
Whereas Black Panther, it had all character and no extra flavor to it.
Yeah. See, for me, Black Panther's in the middle of the pack. Right around Doctor Strange.
Okay. And I think now I'm at the point where it's like, where do I go from here? And I think my next choice is kind of difficult. Because
what I'm interested in seeing is that you think Iron Man 3 is above all the movies you've listed so far?
Oh, did I forget Iron Man 3? Okay, here we go. Well, I'll quickly slide it in.
I did not think that you liked Iron Man 3 that much.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, wait.
Well, I'll quickly slide it in somewhere. I think right after Guardians has to be Iron Man 3. You know, because if I'm putting Captain America the first Captain America, if I'm putting Captain America above Guardians, I'm not saying that it's better than, like, Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 isn't better than Captain America. It's just simply not. It doesn't make sense.
See, the way I did it is, like, if I put a movie down, I went in chronological order.
Okay.
Do I like this movie better than this one? Nope.
Yeah.
I'll just put it, like...
Yeah. I'm sort of freeballing it right now because I feel like my ideas and my opinions work best when my judgment is free to roam.
Yeah.
So I think right now, this is where it gets tough for me. Black Panther? What's better than Black Panther? This is where the elite of the elite are in Marvel, and I think that's why starting that list off, Iron Man 1.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Yeah. It was the start of something. It's unfortunately a little old now, but doesn't mean that it's not something special. So it has to be at the bottom of the elite.
It was a good start.
Yeah.
And it still holds up, which is crazy.
Yeah. And now, I'm going to go ahead and put
Ragnarok?
The first Avengers.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. I love the first Avengers. But it unfortunately does show a tiny bit of age at this point. Just a little bit. It holds a special place in my heart, and that's why it's above Iron Man 1. But
Fair
because
enough.
Ragnarok is so much more fresh in my mind, my thought process is they've taken a character that I never thought in a million years I would care about, and they flipped it on its head, and that's why I put Ragnarok right above the Avengers.
That's crazy.
The first Avengers.
That is a hot take. That's a spicy take.
Now this is where I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and put Civil War.
Right above
personally. That. Yes, because it's crazy to look back now. It's like that was a Captain America movie. That's wild.
It's like a mini Avengers movie.
Yeah, like a mini Avenger. It's crazy. Right above Civil War, Infinity War. 100%. 100% Infinity War.
Wow, I see where you're taking this list, and that's really hard to
And in the
take.
end, you have to understand, the people listening have to understand simply is, I am a Spider-Man fan at heart.
You even have to preface it, because I know exactly
But this is where you'll be surprised at how much this movie, my number one movie of all time, means to me. So right above Infinity War, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put Spider-Man 2. Right
So Far
above
From Home.
Infinity War.
Okay.
Yeah, because it did something that the twos, for me personally, have never done, and that's be something that can really push the whole franchise forward. And right above Spider-Man 2 is Spider-Man 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, Spider-Man the original, Spider-Man the very first one of
Homecoming.
the MCU, Homecoming, is... I love that movie, but there's nothing in the world that can convince me otherwise that Avengers Endgame was the best Marvel movie, best piece of cinema of all time.
Out of all, wow.
Of all time.
Even I wouldn't say that.
Because it's like, yeah, Avengers, Iron Man 1, those places, they hold special places. Like, for me, it's Spider-Man 1, that holds a special place. But in the end, I have to stop looking through rose-colored glasses and understand that Avengers Endgame was just simply... It was built different, you know? It was built different.
You thicky icky.
Yeah, it was a thickie.
No, okay, so I would say that Avengers is better than Endgame only because the story is better than the time heist.
Yeah.
Like, if you take away the big battle and you just look at the time heist, there's some, like, flaws with it. Like, as a story, it's like, it works, but it's not as...
Yeah, for sure.
as good of a story as the first Avengers. I feel like as Avengers, the package works, but that's why Endgame is so high. It's like the next one in my list because, as you know, the war is good, but the time heist, it's all right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the war was done so masterfully. It's like it's hard to say that it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the greatest pieces of cinema of all time.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting a bit long on this podcast.
About an hour over.
Yeah, about an hour over. But
I
guess
think it was worth it, though.
I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. If you did enjoy listening to this 2-hour-long podcast, special episode.
The one all 5 people were waiting for.
Yeah, all 2 of you listening, thank you so much for listening.
We love you.
Die. Yeah. I'm gonna go commit suicide, and nobody can tell me otherwise.
But in a heroic way, to
Yeah.
stick with the Marvel theme.
Yeah. Well, is there any last words that you have to say to wrap things up?
I can't wait for what's coming up in the MCU. I guess
Very big things, and what's even more, what's coming up next episode in this podcast.
Ooh.
Something kind of special. Maybe. Who knows? Stick around. All right.
So ominous.
Thank you so much for listening. It's been a wonderful 2 hours to nobody that's reached the 2-hour mark.
Yep. Probably
And,
probably like decided to keel out over like
yeah.
the 30
But thank
minutes
you
ago.
so much for listening to anybody out there listening. And we all hope you have a wonderful week. We will see you exactly 1 week from now with another special, back to normal, 1-hour podcast episode.
But we'll probably still be talking about comics and
every
like.
here and there. Once Marvel opens up again, it's free game.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and peace out, everybody.
Goodbye.